All right, Shalom. We'll start first by giving all praise and glories unto
Yahweh,
Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Hakwadash Rakah. Double honor to the elder apostles at Grub Millstone who rule well and taught us his truth. And greetings, salutations, and blessings unto the elect, the house of David that will receive salvation. Shalom unto you. This is part 3 of the mini-series called Out. And it's the final stage of this whole called out thing, right? First, it was when you call yourself out to what you're going off on, with the things that you have incorrectly, that you're performing incorrectly, in fear of God, that you change those things. The second stage was being called out to be a man of the Lord, that you perform a higher level and study to show thyself approved unto the Most High God. And then the third level is the calling of an assembly of the men of the Lord, you know, being that make up the church themselves, right? That body of men make up the church, which is the true meaning of what the church is, to be called out in an assembly, but of who? Of the Israelites first and foremost, but in particularly of the elect. Those that are called out to do this work, those that are called out to make up the body of the elect that will one day receive salvation. Lord willing, we're of those men. Anything to add to that, bro? You got something right now?
Yeah, this is Proverbs chapter 8, verse 4. It says, "Unto you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of man."
That's what he's talking about. He's talking about, it's not all the men, the heathen. It's talking about you Israelites. The ones that know your Israel, the ones that's really striving to be 100% correct in the doctrine for the Lord, that's really out there to wake up the elect and, Lord willing, earn salvation. I got a quick one right here. I had Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5. It said, "Before I formed thee in the belly I knew thee, and before thou camest forth out of the womb I sanctified thee, and ordained thee a prophet unto the nations." I kept that one in, I think, from the last lesson. I'm not sure if I brought that one out or not. But we were called with unholy calling and cleansed that we can perform this work. And so when you do that, then you start gathering with other men that are on the same mission, and you guys help each other and create a body that Lord willing will be presented clean to the Most High God. Yes or no?
Yeah, this is 1 Thessalonians 5 and 23. And the very God of peace sanctify you wholly, and pray God your whole spirit and soul and body be preserved blameless until the coming of our Lord Yahweh Shah Mashiach. Faithful is he that calleth you, who also will do it.
Yep, because when we're called, we're put in his hands and you can't pluck us out. You know, when we're called for a special duty. The prophets, the spirit of the prophets is subject unto the prophets. So if you're a prophet in your past life, you're a prophet in this life. You know, and so when you're put in the hand of the Most High God, you can't be plucked out to a point where you have to perform a work, because he's going to keep his promise concerning his elect. And then eventually, after death by pain, concerning the rest of the nation. Let me read this one right quick. Romans 1 and 7, it says, to all that be in Rome, beloved of the Most High, called to be saints. And that's the thing. We're called to be saints. We're called to be cleansed for the Most High God. We're called to be his prophets. We're called to be his men, his mouthpiece.
Because the scriptures tell you we're called with a holy calling.
That's right.
What it means to be holy means to be separate and sanctified. All right. So when we called to this thing, we're called, under, basically our renewed spirit.
That's right.
Because we're no longer that old man when we get called into this thing. The Lord's calling his servants, the prophets, to be gathered together.
That's
so
right.
They can what? So they can go out and bring in the elect, so that the house may be filled.
That's right. And just to say this also, that house that's being filled, that body, because all of us are come short of the glory individually, but together we can create a body that is worthy, where I may slack, another brother may pick up and be excellent in that, and where he slack, another brother all the way around to the whole body is whole. Right? It says, grace to you and peace from our Father Yahweh and the Lord Yahweh Shah Mashiach. That was it on that. Yes, on
Yeah,
that.
this is 1 Corinthians 1 and 8.
I might have had
It
that.
says, you got
No,
it?
no. Go ahead. As a matter of fact, I had verse 2.
You had
You
2?
know, yeah.
All right,
You can
Con.
jump to it.
I was the point I was gonna get was 8 and 9.
Yeah,
but
if you can start at
I
2,
can start
then
at
we
2.
can
Yeah, I can start at 2. 1 Corinthians 1 verse 2. I'll start at the top.
Okay.
It says, Paul called to be an apostle of Yahushua Mashiach through the will of the Most High, and Sosthenes, our brother, unto the church of the Most High, which is at Corinth, to them that are sanctified in Yahushua Mashiach.
That's right.
Meaning cleansed in Yahushua by the blood of Yahushua. It says, with all that is every place called upon the name of Yahushua Mashiach our Lord, both theirs and ours. Grace be unto you and peace from the Most High, our Father, and from the Lord Yahushua.
The point I want to make was about the church. Unto the church of the Most High, who at Corinth, to them that be sanctified. Yeah, we were cleansed as individuals, but then we gathered together, and I think I want to go into the word ekklēsia right there real quick. Should hit tools, but I'll do the same deal. Yep. Ekklēsia is the Greek word Strong's G1577. It says, let me go down to the Strong's info. A derivative of a calling out, concretely a popular meeting, especially a religious congregation, Jewish synagogue or Christian community of members on earth, or saints in heaven, or both, assembly church. Right? Biblical outline, it says a gathering of citizens called out from their homes into a public place, into some public place, an assembly of the people convened at the public place of the council for the purpose of deliberating.
Like, for example, the marketplace is a public place, because that's a place where people are at to go shopping, because it's the marketplace.
That's right.
It's a place of business where, commerce is happening, and that's usually the place where people assemble, and then they have different councils or people, public speakers. Throughout the history of time, that's how it's always been. So that's the chief place of concourse. So that's why it's important for us to go out on the highways and hedges. That's where the church is at. The real church is out there in the public place.
That's right.
Okay.
Because when you go out in that public place, everybody's gathered, but for different roles. Some people are there to sell. Some people are there to buy. Some people are just there to window shop and walk around and just be out. Yeah. To meet people, things that you wouldn't even conventionally know. But that's the best place to fish for the elect up out of the Israelites.
Yeah, this is the only place in the marketplace where you could buy something without money.
Yeah, within this church.
That's what the scriptures tell you.
That's right.
Though that I think it's in Isaiah. It might be the 55th chapter where it says, "Those of you that don't have money, come to buy, come to get this knowledge, man." You don't need to. Basically, your money is the leisure time that you got to come and get this knowledge, man.
That's right. And a lot of times, that's what people are out there doing. They're in their leisure. Yeah. Looking for, let me buy some food or some goods or items or whatever they're looking for.
So like that, you got it?
This is Isaiah 55 and 1. Ho, everyone that thirsteth, come ye to the waters, and he that hath no money, come ye buy.
Yeah, it's like the churches that's on the highways and hedges are like the public fountains.
Yep.
Public fountain, water fountains.
Fountain, yep.
You know what I'm saying? And you can freely come and get some free water.
Only, not blacks only.
Oh yeah, this is an Israelites only water fountain, by the way. Yeah. Right, no Edomites allowed, no heathen allowed.
B says that an assembly of the Israelites, so you heathen can't come and drink from this fountain.
Nope.
Because in those churches that's established everywhere where Jake is at, they say, come as you are, everybody could come, everybody's accepted. So you letting all different types of nations come in and get the word. But that word there that they is speaking in those churches, it's no profit to it. It's no substance to it. It's just a prosperity doctrine.
Right, so give not what's holy unto the dogs. Okay. And letting everybody in, that's letting them and all their demons in, festering in between your congregation. We have certain cleanly rules about our congregation to where if you was unclean in a certain, whether it was a leprosy or a skull or a woman was on a period or whatever, you couldn't come in. There were certain cleanly reasons why they couldn't come in, and we have to try to hold to that as best we can. Starting first by getting out the ungodly, and starting with the unholy. I mean the heathen, that they can't even come in to defile our temple
because they're profane.
Yep.
The heathens are profane. They're unclean by nature.
Yep.
So if you bring them into this holy gathering, you're defiling the sanctuary.
That's right.
And in those churches, they allow faggots to just come into churches.
Yep.
If that's supposed to be the place of the Lord, the house of God, then why you letting homosexuals? That's
right.
an abomination unto the Lord. How you just gonna allow him to come inside and sit down amongst the congregation?
Now they should be able to come up and get their judgment. That's why the marketplace is that place. Because if they knew that they were coming up to get judged, rarely do they come up to want to try to join what to wake up and come into this thing, because the spirits on them are too heavy. But they still do have to be judged. Let me read this. No, you finish. My bad.
This continuing 55:1. Come ye buy and eat, yea, come buy wine and milk without money and without price.
Yep, milk and wine were also analogies for the scriptures, for the understanding of these scriptures.
Yep.
Is there anything else on there?
It's a little bit more. It says, wherefore do ye spend money for that which is not bread, and your labor for that which satisfieth not? Hearken diligently unto me, and eat ye that which is good, and let your soul delight itself in fatness.
Isn't that what the angel told Ezekiel? He said, eat this whole roll, and what thou findest, go ye out in something. I can't remember exactly. Let me take a glance at it. Baba Kushah.
Was that on that? Was that it on that in Isaiah 55?
3 and you was looking. Let me read this real quick. Ezekiel 3:1 says, moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, eat that thou findest, eat this roll, go and speak unto the house of Israel. And that's the church or the congregation or the gathering of the believers that go out there that's looking for salvation. It says, and I opened my mouth, and he caused me to eat that roll. Yeah, that was the point. Let me finish reading this. Let me finish this definition, and we can move on. It says, and gathering of throng of men assembled by chance tumultuously. Yeah, if they're going to take down Frankenstein, they gather together. It says, in a Christian sense, an assembly of Christians gathered for worship in a religious meeting. A company of Christians. And who are the Christians? The anointed ones, the Israelites, the ones that were called to do the will of Yahweh Shai, to appease Yahweh. Because it changed from just being the Levitical priesthood until the whole nation could become kings and priests now. It got opened up. It says, it said, a company of Christians, or of those who, hoping for eternal salvation through Yahweh Shai Mashiach, observe their own religious rites, hold their own religious meetings, and manage their own affairs according to regulations prescribed for the body for order's sake. And that's what Paul was mainly going around doing, setting up these churches and giving them the guidelines and the orders of how to assemble together and make sure they had the right doctrine within those churches, and make sure that certain men were set up on certain levels and other people fulfilled their part of the body. It says, it's a lot of here. It says, those who are anywhere in a city, village, constitute such a company and are united into one body. Baba Kushah, if you can grab, you got something? If you can get Matthew 18 and 20 for me. It says, constitute such a company and are united into one body. The whole body of Christians scattered throughout the earth. And that's what we're doing. We're all scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, but we're still Israelites, regardless if we look like a Negro or not. It's all dependent on the spirit of each of us that we have that are connected through being an Israelite. It doesn't matter what features you have or what land you grew up in or what customs you kept. That you come unto this thing wholeheartedly unto the Most High God for salvation.
Because there you have a camp, I believe it's Suriname. South, was it South America or South Africa?
I don't know where that's at.
But it's called the GMS Suriname camp, and those brothers out there speaking in their tongue over there, and they speaking in English, preaching the word, going in. I got that Matthew too, bro. Yeah, well, let me finish this, then you can read it. It said, the assembly of faithful Christians already dead and received into heaven.
Now that's an analogy and a truth in itself, you know. Analogy as far as faithful, because we die, the man on this side dies that we can be raised incorruptible to on this side. We basically sacrifice our lives on this side and become dead to the world that we can live and earn salvation on this side.
As the precept says, though our outward man perish every day, our inward man is renewed daily.
Perfect, bro. You got that script too.
And this Matthew 18 and 20. It says, for where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them.
There you go. When 2 or more are gathered. And that's the gathering together is the only place you're going to find Yahweh Shai. In the name of Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai. In the full truth of Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai. Because a lot of men call on him, but they don't really believe in this thing. A lot of guys, the doctrine ain't right. You got to believe in the whole doctrine, and the spirit of Yahweh Shai, the spirit of prophecy.
That's right.
You got to have all those things. You have something else? Or there's more? Okay, you had something?
I was still in 1 Corinthians.
Oh yeah, Khan. Go back to that, bro.
Khan, I left off at verse 3. It says, grace be unto you. And this is Apostle Paul saluting the gathering, the church. It says, grace be unto you and peace from the Most High, our Father, and from the Lord Yahweh Shah Mashiach. I thank my power, or my God, be always on your behalf, for the grace of the Most High, which is given you by Yahweh Shah Mashiach, that in everything you are enriched by him in all utterance and in all knowledge, even as the testimony of Mashiach was confirmed in you, so that ye come
those
behind.
are the men only in that Salaki, but that's the only one. The ones will gather in this sacrificial way of our making our bodies a living sacrifice, going on to the marketplace to call unto the people. You know, we'll gather like that. We'll be part of this church.
He says that he's everything you're enriched by him in all utterance, meaning all speaking, what we speak, and in all the knowledge, basically, because we have an unction from the Holy One that we know all things.
That's right.
He gave that to his church so that the church can build. It says, even as the testimony of Hamashiach was confirmed in you, see that ye come behind in no gift, waiting for the coming of our Lord Yahweh Shah Mashiach, who shall also confirm you unto the end, and ye may be blameless in the day of our Lord Yahweh Shah Mashiach. The Most High is faithful, by whom you were called unto the fellowship of his Son Yahweh Shai, our Lord. So you were basically you were called into this fellowship, man. We're a company. The church, all the churches are basically joined together as one big company of Yahweh Shai, man. We're the fellowship. The Lord set upon the church, the foundation of the church. He set upon it holy apostles, prophets, teachers, evangelists, you know, so on and so forth, man. That's the real church. Not these different church buildings with all these different denominations of Christianity. Yeah, with the Tammuz tea and all those idols up in there. That's not the church, man.
Stained glass don't make it a church.
Romans 12 and 4. For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office. So
hey, you make the why? Because the point in here it says, verse 7, so that ye come behind in no gift. That each gift that each brother has is shared among each other, building each other up. Go ahead, back to it.
This is Romans 12 and 4. For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office, so we, being many, are one body in Yahweh Shai, and every one members one of another.
That's right.
Having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given us, whether prophecy, let us prophesy according to the proportion of faith, or ministry, let us wait on our ministering, or he that teacheth on teaching, or he that extorteth on extortion. Extortion, like it.
Yeah.
Exhortation.
That's not a good.
It's like exhortation. He that giveth, let him do it with simplicity. He that ruleth with diligence. He that showeth mercy with cheerfulness.
Each brother has a certain facility in the body that we have to fulfill, and it's to help build ourselves up and build each other up, and we have to share those gifts among each other.
All right. I got one more.
Go ahead.
This is 1 Corinthians 12 and 4. Now there are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit. Just saying that every brother or every camp, they all have different brothers in there that Spirit tend to certain parts of the ministry, but we all are the same Spirit, being one in Yahweh Shai.
Is there more?
It says, and there are differences of administrations, but the same Lord, and there are diversities of operations, but it is the same power which worketh all in all. And that's it.
That's right. I'm going to read this. St. John chapter 15, verse 16, it says, ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you, and should ordain you that ye should go and bring forth fruit. And what's that fruit? The other members of the body that are called out to go out into the assembly and push the word out. Right? It says, and that your fruit should remain, not just letting anybody come in undressed and into this wedding, but that we come in and that we're all striving for the masteries. It says, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he shall give it you. And that was that one. Anybody have something else? I got another one. Is that?
Yeah, let me get this real quick. This is Hebrews 12 and 22. It says, but you are come unto the Mount Zion and unto the city of the living power, the heavenly Jerusalem, and to an innumerable company of angels, which the angels are what? The messengers.
That's right.
All right, all these men are holy men. It says to the general assembly, which is the church.
Yep.
And the church of the firstborn, which are written in heaven.
That's right.
And to the Most High, the judge of all, and to the spirits of just men made perfect. That's the church.
That's right.
That's the church, man.
That's right. I got one. You got one too? I got one. Let's use that. Okay, let's see if we can go back. Ephesians chapter 5 verse, I'm going to start at 26. Wait, let me see if I should start at 24. No. 26, it says that he might, because the brother kind of made the point that we be cleansed with, I forgot the word that was after you. Sanctified. It says it here, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. And that's what the connecting factor of the men that are called into this church, that we're really here for sincerity of the word of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai. It says that he might present it to himself a glorious church, that it may be come back to the Most High through Yahweh Shai as a glorious church. It says, not having spot or wrinkle, like the brother said, that we were cleansed and made blameless, right? Anyway, it says, or wrinkle, or any such thing, but that it should be holy and without blemish. Yep, and so that's the point, that we could be holy and without blemish when we're presented to the Most High God. And made white. And how do we do that? Through the living daily by this word. Every day we push this word, and then we assemble every week, at least every week, to push this word out. Anybody have something else?
Yeah, that's
pretty much it. All right, so with that, we'll close out, giving all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, HaKodash Rakah. Double honor to the elder apostles at Great Millstone and the elders at Great Millstone for teaching us this truth and being great examples. Greetings, salutations, and blessings unto the elect. Lord willing, we're of the elect. And to all those that push this word out in sincerity and in truth. To you, I say shalom.
Shalom.